is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another vlog. It feels like I haven't done this in forever, and that's because I basically haven't. I mean, I've been super busy. Also been trying to get this thing dialed in, and I just haven't had the car dialed in enough to where I could make content. But now I'm happy to say it is all dialed in. So I'm gonna roll some clips right now from when we were trying to figure everything out and see what Lund said. I almost legitimately blew my motor. That pull that was in the last video, that one pull ran super lean. And Lund was basically like, you shouldn't have done that at all. Like, you should have totally cut it out because it ran super lean and we were at high risk of causing some engine damage. So we need to verify that the booster pump is actually reading voltage. But let me back up a little bit and just show you what all was going on. So I did the pull, set it super lean. He said, hey, you need to verify that your booster pump's working because it's not adding any extra fuel, which adding all that air from the supercharger with zero added fuel is very dangerous. That's a recipe for disaster, basically. And they were rightfully worried at Lund. But what I did was I got home and I popped open my trunk and I saw this. I'll throw this photo up right here and highlight it. But my actual vacuum line that is boost reference for the booster pump came off and I didn't have a zip tie on it, so it just popped itself off. So after that, I showed it to Lund and they were like, well, that's logical that the boost reference isn't even allowing it to trigger the booster pump when it's disconnected. But Brandon, being Brandon and such a good tuner, he was like, you know what? Let's just be extra safe and verify that it's reading voltage or it's sending the right voltage. So it should be at 12 to 14 or something like that at standard. And then at full boost, it should be pushing at 17 or 18. So let's go ahead and verify that and make sure that we can go watt again. So I'm gonna take photos of it if it's good, and then we'll send it off to Lund and hopefully get a thumbs up to do another watt pull. All right, so what we're testing here is just making sure the booster pump's working. So 14 volts normal, and then once you're under boost, which he's gonna simulate, boom, 17 to 18 volts. So that's probably the issue, is just that little hose that popped off. That's definitely the issue because there's 18 volts right there. Right there, you guys can see we did have the voltage. So I'm gonna go ahead and send off that photo over to Brandon over at Lund, so that way we can verify, or he can verify that, hey, it's looking good. We do have that now connected. I'll make sure that doesn't pop off in the future. I'll make sure that zip tie is extra tight, maybe even double up on it, I don't know. So now it is nighttime in Mexico and I just warmed up the car, just did a quick lap and wanted to make sure that this hose didn't pop itself off. And we're still on there nice and tight, which we are. So that was our main concern. But now it seems like it's warmed up. I will say now that it's cold, my transmission seems to get a little notchier, plus I haven't driven it in a while. But yeah, we're about to go do the pull. And I'm gonna keep an eye on it this time. And Brandon said the lambdas, we're gonna keep them under 8.8. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that on my N gauge, but I'll show you guys that pull real quick. I click go. So this is gonna be my log 39, which I'll show you guys on the computer. I'm gonna leave the light on and hopefully do a third gear pull, 2,500 to 7,200. That's all Brandon wanted. You can hear my back squeak because the lines are like rubbing up against the fender liner. If you didn't hear that, then now you know whenever you hear me squeak, that's what it is. But hopefully we can find a quick stretch here, do a quick pull, make sure everything's looking good on the tune, and then start to gain trust in the car again, because I did all these mods, so I'm gaining trust in myself and how I modify my car. So we'll see. Hopefully this goes well. Here we are at the house and we have the N gauge plugged in. Well, not really, we have the card right here plugged in. And we're gonna go into the N gauge, which I named. Yours might say something different, but we're going to logs and then log 39. That's the one I actually did. You can see my file size here is 1.6 megabytes versus kilobytes because I accidentally clicked it twice when I was trying to stop. And we'll rename that one to hopefully, I don't know, hopefully fixed the fuel issue. The fuel issue, and then we'll drag that into Lund Racing as we did before. So let's go ahead and do this all one-handed here. And that's kind of all for tonight. I just got back from the gym, so I'm just gonna wait for the morning when Brandon responds, and hopefully we're all looking good. I did have that hose plugged in after the pull. I double checked that, and we did verify the voltage was going up, so everything should be good. It also felt a lot faster. So yeah, I'm hoping this is all taken care of. So we'll catch you guys in the next clip. And now back to present day. We have an email from Brandon at Lund who literally said, you're good to go. You can go and race the car if you really wanted to. So that's basically the green light. Everything's dialed in and we have it all fixed. It was just that stupid little booster pump. I learned how to test for the voltage, and now I know how kind of the boosted pump works. It's literally just boosting voltage to throw more fuel down the line with your stock fuel system. And that's kind of our, I don't know if that's it, but that's part of it as far as why we're capped at where we're capped with horsepower. So I'm guessing maybe 650 wheel horsepower right now. I didn't want to go too crazy because I am a stock block, which is another one of our, I guess, stopping points is we have a stock block and I have a Gen 1. So it's not like I have a Gen 2 S550 where you can throw 1,000 horsepower at it. Mine's basically tapped out safely where it is. I could push to 700, but you're kind of living on the edge, and I would rather be able to drive the car harder rather than pucker every time I do a pull. So that's why we're sitting right where we are. Now, this is basically all done. Like, this is my dream car from when I was in high school. Well, it was the dream setup. It was bagged, boosted, forged wheels, and wrapped. Or bag, yeah, that's everything. So this is basically what I wanted in high school. And there's a long story, maybe one day, maybe if we hit 100,000 subscribers, I'll tell the story of like why Mustangs mean so much. It's a little bit personal, it's a little bit about my family and things like that. But maybe at 100K we'll get into that. But this is how it should have been done. It should have been all put together like this whenever I unveiled the wrap, but with COVID and things like shipping the wheels and tires and everything like that, it kind of got pushed back a little bit, and that's why. But this was the vision the whole time. Specifically, this thing right here, this took a very long time to get. This was like a dream of mine to be able to afford this and pay for it and have a boosted car that wasn't stock. Now, keep in mind, I was not a mechanic. I'm not a professional mechanic. I mean, I've done some backyard stuff. I installed my air suspension. I've done my headlights before. All I do is just read and research as much as I can on YouTube, and that's actually what inspired me to make YouTube videos. Back in the day, I used to watch some people do everything and learn how to do it and then go and try it and accomplish it myself. That's why I became a YouTuber, basically, was to, I guess, document everything I was learning, and that way I could put it out for you guys. So it's kind of a funny thing because even though it's my first time, it may seem like I know what I'm doing, but I'm learning and reading the instructions just like you guys, just like this Whipple. So I just read the instructions, learned as I went, hit some roadblocks, hit some bottlenecks that you guys saw throughout the process, relied on very smart people to help me out, and that's how we got it here. I mean, I had a pretty good tool set, I won't lie. Like, you definitely need a good amount of tools. You might have to go buy more tools, but anybody could do this if you understand how the mechanics work of it, double checking your work, taking your time, and really being cautious, like overly cautious if something's going to be permanent. Maybe if you're going to do this, or any supercharger, it's probably similar, or any positive displacement, it's probably very similar, so you might run into this. One of the things is extending these hose lines. These are your coolant hose lines. It seems really weird, but you want to make sure you have a nice strong cut, like a straight cut, I mean, with strong scissors or a blade. And then you want to extend it out and heat shrink. Use a heat gun and heat shrink on the extension. You can kind of test and make sure it's the right length. If anything, go a little bit longer than shorter, because you can always make it, you know, have a little bow in or something rather than being too short, and then you can't make it to the fitting. The other part is with these electrical connections, if I could speak, then you want to take those off very carefully. You don't want to overly force anything. Keep in mind, this is a 90,000 mile engine from 2012 is probably when it was built, because it's a 2013 car. So yeah, there's going to be some stuff that was maybe a little difficult to get off, but don't try and force it, because you will break things that way, and you don't want to break anything. Another thing that this is kind of funky, don't mind this. I'm going to get a different hose clamp that's supposed to actually fit. So don't mind this, and I'll also make sure they're going the right way. Shout out to Jason, because he was like, this is annoying my OCD. But yeah, I just need to get a different hose clamp for that. And yeah, I mean, honestly, the hoses, the electrical connectors, making sure your O-rings are replaced and everything's sealed up right. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That was the hardest part. And then other than that, it was just making sure everything is torqued to spec and after that you can pretty much get everything going. Down there, if you guys could see that white engraving about there where my fingertip is, that's an MFP crank support. You probably can't see it because it's so dark in there, but I put on the MFP crank support to be on the safe side, because when I was in Dallas visiting Paramount Speed, they actually had an F-150 in there, a single cab short bed like Gen 2, that snapped his crank off and he wasn't even pushing like 700 horsepower or something. So it is possible, even on a Gen 2, to snap a crank if you're really beating on the car. And that's why he's always like, I recommend MFP crank supports. They're 800 bucks, they're cheap insurance. If you think about how much your engine costs and pulling it out, the labor involved, undoing your supercharger, all of that stuff, it's basically reinstalling your supercharger kit. So if you have to do that, just think you could put an $800 bracket in while you're installing everything, and it just relieves a little bit of that pucker factor whenever you're doing a pull. But really, I just wanted to get this video out for you guys and give you guys a couple of tips that I've learned while I was supercharging the car. I'll be happy to answer any of you guys' questions down in the comments below about it. Just leave them and I'll try to respond to as many as I can. Just because I know that a lot of people have questions about what it's like to supercharge your car. And on top of that, I supercharged a high mileage Coyote. So you guys will be living along here with me, and we're gonna drive it, have some fun with it. Hopefully the track is open here soon, and see what it does on street tires. I know traction is gonna be an issue, but at least I wanna get into the 10.9s range. I think that's possible, maybe with a stick. I wanna keep my MT82 alive, but we'll see. That's one of my goals with this car. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then please comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.